Hello, my friends. Thank you for coming back and watching episode 14 of my series of stories that I'm doing, testifying to God's goodness as He brought me through a very dark journey with my mental health, my drug addiction, and my terrible choices because I was not handling my mental health correctly. And then ultimately finding God waiting for me when I came to the end of myself. He was there waiting to clean me up and put me back on the correct path. So thank you for coming back. So we're going to get right going on this one. I could tell that my time with Jake was definitely beginning to wind down. I could just see it coming. I also could see that I was approaching the last ditch effort to correct my wayward life before I would finally hit rock bottom. Because you see, I was just at this point so overwhelmed with guilt for the sinful lifestyle I was living. But the crazy thing is, compared to how I would live the final 9 months of my time in Denver, my time with Jake was very tame. It was an episode of Sesame Street compared to what was coming. But nevertheless, I just wanted to try a final turnaround before it would all blow up in my face. Because you see, I absolutely loved living in Denver. I loved everything about it, but I knew something had to change for it to be sustainable. And that deciding event, that moment was going to come, and it was going to come through the opening of a symbolic door. Jake and I, we had went camping before a few months prior to where I'm at in this time frame in my life. And it was incredible. We loved it. We had inadvertently discovered like this hidden plateau on top of one of the Rockies' many mountains. The view was absolutely breathtaking. I mean, we're talking bald eagles floating, and just it was so gorgeous. And we wanted to go there again because it was just we wanted to get away from it all. But the other thing is that Jake really wanted to introduce me to a completely new drug. It would be the first time I ever tried anything other than pot. During my time living with Jake, he was just determined to introduce me to all manner of demonic influences as we were just constantly messing around with the spirit world. We weren't doing anything with the occult or seances or anything like that. We were just getting incredibly high and like learning how to let our minds wander off in these different planes of consciousness and all that stuff. So he was teaching me all this because he himself was very much into it. He was very much into New Age and the third eye and all that stuff. But he knew that the effects of pot were very limited in this kind of venue he was trying to get us to. And he also knew that to get the full effect that he was after, he was going to have to introduce me to psychedelics. He wanted to get me to do magic mushrooms with him. And for those of you who remember kind of an earlier story I talked about when I was still working at Pizza Hut before I moved to Denver, there was that one guy who was delivering pizzas while tripping on mushrooms. And I remember how intrigued I was by his state of mind and bliss. So when Jake said, I want you to try magic mushrooms, I'm like, absolutely, let's do this. I'm absolutely ready to go back. So we did. We got that stuff. We had made our plan for the following weekend. We were going to head back to that same gorgeous spot in the mountain, and we were going to bring a preposterous amount of beer and pot with us and bring some mushrooms. Could not wait. The week could not get over quickly enough. The weekend could not get here fast. It was just so excited. Problem was, we could not remember the name of the road that this random dirt road was off of. It was not a trail. It wasn't even anything. It was just kind of like this opening through some trees that for some reason last time I thought, that looks inviting. Let's see if my car can drive up through it. Sure enough, it fit through these trees, and I just kept following it like, wow, where's this taking us? And we landed on top of a mountain. So I had a good view, a good memory of what that looked like, that where those two trees were. But we just could not remember the name of the road that spot was off of. So we're driving around, fruitless. I don't know how long we wasted trying to find this thing. We were getting discouraged. It was getting dark, or at least it was starting to get towards evening, and we knew that once it did become dark, we would never find that spot again. So I'm driving a couple miles back. We'd passed kind of like this rundown, dumpy campground. I had like the owner's house it had this trail that went up, kind of up a hill with a bunch of cabins. And then over here was like a very tiny little office. And in by this office is a very small parking lot. So we decided to turn around and I go back there and see if they knew where this road was. I pull into this place, and once I'm parking there, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this place is so uninviting. It was like a horror movie, straight out of a horror movie. So I kind of like look at Jake and I'm like, well, let's see if they know. So I see a light on in the office. I could hear TV coming through the screen door. The screen door was closed, but the door was open. So I walk up the steps. Jake stays in the car. And as I'm walking to this gross screen door, I could see through it there was like this ratty lazy boy just kind of sitting back. And in this lazy boy was like this dude in his colored underwear briefs and a white tank top, greasy white tank top that didn't even cover his beer gut. I'm like, what am I doing? But I'm up here, so I kind of knock, and he looks at me like, yeah. He's all totally irritated. I'm bugging him. I'm like, hey, man, I'm sorry. Can you just give us directions? So he's like, oh, fine. So he gets up and walks towards me. As he's walking towards me, I could see like these giant like Coke bottle thick glasses on. And through those glasses, he had a lazy eye. So I'm trying really hard to focus, like which eye do I look at? I don't want to offend this guy. So he comes up to me and he's obviously annoyed, but he was being helpful, probably because he wanted to get back to TV time. So he told me where the road was. I'm thinking, thank you. All right. So I said, I better get out of here now before this guy decides to take me out back and kill me. Because this place, it reeked of Silence of the Lambs. That's the vibe I was getting. Get in the car, tell Jake, all right, let's go. Problem is, this parking lot was super tiny, and there was no place for me to really turn around and back out. So I thought, well, I'll just kind of pull forward and go up this road where the cabins were, pull in the first parking spot for the cabin, and back out and go, you know? So as I start going up the road, underwear dude comes out of his office with a shotgun in his hands, and he screams at me, where are you going? I'm like, whoa, I freaked out. I see him standing and staring at me with his gun, and I'm like, I get out of the car. I said, listen, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to turn around and back up. There's no place for me to turn around. He goes, you're not going back up there. You're backing up all the way in the street, and you're going to be on your way. So I'm like, whatever you say, dude, peace. I didn't want to upset this half-naked, crazy hillbilly any further. So I just start backing out. But I'm not using my side mirrors, okay? I'm just kind of looking in the rear view mirror. Over here, there's a bunch of cars parked in front of the owner's house. There's a giant utility van, and I did not see this like long, low to the ground Cadillac. The bumper was just sticking out past the van. So I'm still just kind of looking, more like looking here, keep my half eye on the crazy hillbilly dude, with a gun. I back right into this Cadillac, slammed right into its bumper. Crazy dude cocks his shotgun, says, you're not going anywhere. Shut off the car and wait for the cops. I thought, oh my goodness, we're dead. We're absolutely dead. Either this guy's going to shoot us or the cops are going to show up and see all the drugs in the car. One way or another, I'm either dying or we're going to jail tonight. So I look at Jake. I'll never forget this. He's calm, cool, and collected. He's like, Jeremy, he's sitting here. Jeremy, on my shoulder. Relax, man. I got this. Let me do all the talking. Okay, whatever you say, Jake. At this point, Hillbilly's elderly parents come out of the house because there's all this hubbub going on. Want to see what's happening. Jake gets out of the car, goes right over to him, starts sweet talking him. Jake may not have the best luck with talking to women he's attracted to, but when it comes to old people, he absolutely owns them. He just has this incredible way about him to just kind of put everyone at ease he's talking to. So cops show up. One cop car and two cops. They get out and they greet the parents and their hillbilly son by name. For all I know, they're family. I don't know. I'm thinking, oh man, there's no way we're getting any justice. These guys all know each other. Well, they go. The one cop goes and gets the statement from the parents, hillbilly dude, and comes to me. While the other cop goes over and talks to Jake. I'm sitting here talking to the cop, giving him my statement, but the whole time I kept looking over his shoulder. I'm watching Jake, like, basically mesmerized this cop, completely just manipulating his mind. I'm watching him make the cop laugh. They're telling stories. And like, what is going on? At no point does the cop say, all right, that's great. Open up your car doors and your trunk. Let me search your car. That's what I'm waiting for. So I give my statements. They're done. The guy cop interviewing me looks over at his partner. He's like, you good? Yeah, we're good. Let's just get out of here. So as they're leaving, the two cops yell at Underwear Dude for freaking me out and pulling a gun on me. And they also said, it's basically your fault, Bob, for freaking him out. He ran into your own car. I'm like, wow. I like laugh at this situation. The cops did determine that my insurance needed to pay for the damage to the car. Whatever. I'm fine with that because Underwear Dude was desperately trying to get them to basically press trespassing charges for going up to the cabins without paying. And the cops like, no, we're not. No, forget it. These guys are going. Just go back and watch your TV, No ticket, we left. I get back in the car, cops are gone, we're leaving. I'm all like buzzing with nervous energy, and Jake's like, yeah, all right, that's cool. So, on our way. Now that I know where this road is, we just keep right on going. And once we get there, we easily found that turnoff. I knew we would. And we were moving quickly because, we're on a daylight here. So we need to get the camp set up, get a fire going, and we need to get the festivities going. I'm stopping right here. I promise I have no intention of telling specific drug experiences very often. I'm telling this one a little bit because it was so instrumental in getting the second to the last chapter of my life rolling in Denver. So I'm nervous, okay? I'm nervous. Jake's like, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to walk you through it. I didn't know what to expect. I just assumed it'd be a more intense pot high. That's why I figured. No, it was way worse than that. I will never forget this moment. I'm staring at the campfire. I'm just like anxiously waiting for something to happen. It's been half hour, going about 35 minutes. Nothing's going on. I look over at Jake, who he's sitting at the fire. He's got this blanket around him. He just kind of look at the fire. All of a sudden, he just breaks out laughing like a maniac. It was just so weird and awkward and really uncomfortable. I'm like, that is just such an inappropriate reaction. But he starts laughing at the fire, rocking back and forth, just loving what's going on. I look at him, and I'm like, okay. So I look back down at the fire in front of me. Right then, the mushrooms kicked in. I watched the fire form, this giant, large, coiled cobra. He just kind of raised his head, just kind of dance, like just dance in front of my face, doing this kind of thing hypnotically. He's staring at me for a couple seconds. I'm looking him in the eye. So he strikes at me. I fly back and fall off the little camp chair that I'm sitting on and lay in the dirt. And I'm freaked out because I'm thinking there's a fire coming, or there's a snake coming out of the fire coming to get me. So I stand up real quick and I'm like looking at Jake to help me. Jake is distracted by this whole situation. He could tell that I'm not having a good time with this. This is a bad start. So he wanted to come over and help me, which is what I wanted. But as I'm looking at him, his face turns into kind of like his demon face and horns sprout out of his head. I get up and run. I'm like, I don't care. I'm out of here. He gets up trying to come over to comfort me and slow my roll, but I'm wanting nothing to do with him. I start running through the woods. My trip had turned into a bad trip immediately. I am hiding and running in the woods trying to get away from Jake, who is constantly trying to come get me. So he's like yelling, he's like, relax, trust me, let me come help you. And I'm like, I'm not listening to him. I have no idea, by the way, how I did not just toss myself off one of the numerous cliffs that were surrounding our area. Only by the grace of God did I not do that. But at any rate, he's begging me. He's like, Jeremy, come back here, let me help you. And I'm thinking the whole time it's actually just Underwear Dude pretending to be Jake, trying to trick me into letting him come to me and find me so he could kill me. Well, this went on for a couple hours, and eventually, basically just exhaustion. I'm like, I can't take this anymore. I'm just going to accept my fate. And I let Jake find me. And I should let him find me a long time ago because he immediately calmed me down and put me at ease. He explained what was happening, explained what was going on. And as I was calm and relaxed, I could now see Jake before me. I'm like, oh my word, that's ridiculous. And it started to become like silly to me. The whole situation became very silly to me. wow, I should have let him rescue me a long time ago, but he did. He ended up rescuing the knight eventually, and the whole thing became very therapeutic for me. No details, but for any of you watching this who've ever had this kind of experience with psychedelics know, your mind just kind of becomes clear and things become more open to you. And things start to make more sense because you're looking at things from a different angle. You're not getting inside information. Our minds are trapped in day-to-day things and we're always focused on routine. But in this state of mind, you're starting to see things from a different angle. And I'm starting to see that I'm going to end up dead if I do not get out of this lifestyle I'm living. At that moment, I decided right then and there, although I didn't tell Jake yet, that's it. I got to move out. I got to quit all drugs, including pot. Problem was, I was back to square one all over again. I was about to lose my amazing job. I knew that day was coming. The bridges were burned. They were going to fire me here any day. So there was just no way I could afford an apartment by myself. And so I needed a roommate. But Jake was the only person I knew at that time. There was no other people. Except for a girl, one girl that I knew, Amber. She found out what was going on. I was just kind of talking to her about it, and she swooped in. She saw her moment, she swooped in and took over the entire situation. She got her talons into everything that was going on and shredded the situation, shredded the whole scene. But I will tell you about that next time. Okay, thank you for listening to this. I always try to wrap these things up with pointing my focus, pointing your focus onto God. Because yes, I was dealing with mental health issues. Yes, I was struggling to figure out what's going on with my mind. But no, I was doing it the wrong way. I was looking to drugs to help me. I know that is a very common trend and a trait for people who are untreated with their mental health. They, more often than not, they look to drugs to solve the problem, to solve what's going on in their brain. Please believe me. Please hear me. That is not the answer. I know it at this point in the story I just told, and I am most definitely going to know it as the story continues of what happens at the end of my time in Denver. Drugs are not the answer. Jesus is the answer, bar none, no argument. Go to my website. There are plenty of sites on there, links, things like that to help guide you to get answers to what it is. I just keep going on and on about all these stories telling that Jesus is the answer. Jesus is the answer. What does that mean? There are links. Click on them. Read them. Come at it with humble eyes. If you feel comfortable in doing it, ask God. Help me understand whatever this crazy, weird Bible stuff is I'm about to read. He will help you. He wants to help you. He wants to open your eyes to see this truth. And always, too, I encourage you to leave me comments, ask me to pray for you, tell me what's going on. I promise I'll give my time to you and I will listen. Until next time, my friends, keep pressing on. Come back, episode 15. Look what Amber does. See you later.